Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Dynamic leadership and changing trend. Under this series, we will start a new branch. Speaking professionally. Communication is the backbone of all the leadership. And any leader needs to talk professionally. So this series will attempt on that. As part of this first podcast, I will be talking about math, logic, statistics, fun, fiction, science, humor, something for the brain. It will have everything. I hope you like it. So let's start. Any speech should start with a story which will appeal the audience. As part of the every professional speaker starts with a story. So I'm going to do the same. We know Sir Isaac Newton. Everybody knows it. The apple story, we know apple falls on his head, and wow, he invented the theory and maths and logistic of the gravity. So there are two bodies in the universe, and he defined the gravitation constant and how they attract each other based upon their mass. Wonderful. Mr. Isaac Newton, sir, if you allow me, I just have one question for you. I understood the theory that apple falls on the head and then there is a gravity. I have a different question. My question is why that apple is there at the first place? Because you said, okay, it falls down, then there is a gravity. Understood. My question is why the apple is there where it is. I think audience will start. There's a laughing chatter is already I'm hearing. What a weird question. I mean, why the apple is there? Why not? They will explain me that, okay, there is a apple, every living thing needs to reproduce and plants and animals alike. So that's why apple is there. It has its seeds in it. That's why. Now the corollary question. Why that sugary portion is there? If there are only seeds, that's required for reproduction. Why there are that sugary portion is there? Is that apple tree calling the next door apple trees or some other trees for brunch? Why it is so nice looking, sugary, and uh, so attractive? Because seeds can be anywhere. If you go to the barley tree or corn trees, look at them. There is nothing that attractive. People will say, what a weirdo. The apple is so attractive because they want to attract the birds, so birds will eat that and then they will spread the seeds. Simple logic. Corollary question number 3. Then what happens to the barley or corn trees or those planktons in the ocean? Because those pollination happens through either wind or water current. Then why apple tree has something different? People are now, I think, going to be fed up with me. I mean, why not? Because it wants to attract the birds. Why not? That's the point. That's my question. So that the tree is a plant, okay, it doesn't have the same sensory system as humans and other living things are there. Like they have eyes, nose, hearing. Plants doesn't have it. But that plant knows there are birds. How cool is that? How that plant knows there are birds and they like that sugary thing, it's so sweet. How they know it? Plant comes first or bird comes first? If you go to the evolutionary theory, then plants are the first, birds are probably pretty last. So how they decided to go from the polarization using wind and water, instead of that start using the birds and insects? How did the plants know there are insects and there are birds and what are they liking? You got my question now? That means plants knows more than that. So Mr. Newton, you discovered more than that probably. So probably not many people was focused on that, but we see plants could be knowing better than us from start, because they know how to attract and like how to do the how to advertise probably. Isn't that the starting point? Because we thought that modern marketing and advertising started last 100 years. Humans, we have the brains. Look at that. The tree which doesn't have a formal brain system or the other organ system, they are doing this. Do you know those orchards which has the beautiful flowers? I mean, do you know for what? Are they calling some pine tree, spruce tree to come and join them? They're they are inviting the insects and the flies, fruit flies. But we know in the evolutionary cycle, those things came later. So birds came from something, came out of the ocean, started flying, and it started eating. So the trees understood. Look at the evolutionary concept. So trees understood there's something is flying and which may like it. So they started developing something called a fruit, which will be liked by those organisms, and they are they are using them as their couriers and their dispatchers, and they are using them. So we think that modern people are using animals for or cattle for the farming. Look at that. Millions years ago, trees are using birds, fruit flies, and everything else for their pollination. So cool, isn't it? I lost all my uh, like I was thinking humans are so great, but now when we see this, then we lose our pride, because nature has done this even before we understood about it. Humans are the probably last thing, right? Do you know those television? Let's talk about television. Television or movie, those kind of thing came probably 100 or 200 years. If you say that photography came like 400 years ago or 300 years ago, but the actual photograph or the color movies or color television or black and white to color television happened like 100 years. Because humans learn RGB, they understood the pigmentation. They have now, look at this phone, it has a color screen, touch screen, right? When this touch screen came, all the commercial touch screen came probably in 25 years, 25 to 30 years. Now let's go million years ago. You know those Shyamalan? That guy is a RGB expert, pigmentation. Like his body is, he can create any kind of color. And how? Because he knows there is a predator and he will be afraid of this color. So he changed his color like that. Or he knows how can he get camouflage. So he understands the surroundings and change himself or itself to that, so that the predator will not come to him. I mean, when humans were hunter-gatherers, they didn't know all these things. Nature. So cool, isn't it? Because I'm not getting how that RGB pigmentation and RGB expert, that modern science we learned now to mix the colors and then produce something else. So those guys are understanding in nature itself without doing anything. Because how they judge the color of outside, like through their eyes, probably they judge what is the color and that same pigmentation. So his body has all those pigmentations and everything is already built in. So it's not evolutionary process is not a small. So his DNA's database was building it. We think that we are building some databases and computers. So look at that. So those DNA databases nature is building within us and all the living things, including trees, because trees are also understanding that there are birds, and that's how they evolve themselves. They make some very tasty, sugary, attractive flowers and fruits, so that all these things will be attracted. So cool, right? Now let me take you to few more examples. Let's go to the manufacturing. If you go to a Lamborghini plant, okay, it will be in the thousands of hectares spread over. Extremely qualified techs will be designing it using the computer. Okay, they don't use, individual doesn't use their brain. Computer is our brain only, but they will be using the uh, the brain, stored brain, what we can call. And then they will design the uh, they will make that design, and there will be CNC machines and all the automated plants. And at the end, that beautiful Lamborghini comes. We will say, wow, look at that. What a dynamics, how it goes, how it just, it's like flies on the road. Why don't we look at that cheetah? Extreme dynamics, same or better. All the physics, bones, body shape, curvature, contour is exact and doesn't take thousands of hectares. We thought the GPS or the coordinate system invented by us. It was commercialized, available like last 25 to 30 years. The birds and the turtles and the fish, they are using the currents as well as temperature difference and the winds and probably sun and stars to navigate between across the globe without even making any mistake. So the birds has those computers inbuilt developed in them. We think we invented the telescope and we magnify it. Look at those eagles and those prey birds. They are thousands of feet above, but they can, whatever they can spot on the ground, that means look at that magnifying power. We think that we build pyramids and so many marvelous architecture. If you look at the ant and look at their mounds, look at those beautiful nests built by bird, isn't it less architecture? We learn from them. We have learned art, singing, dance, all kind of things from the nature and the things around us. We have reinvented, nothing has been invented. All the qualities and most of the invention, we can say it's a reinvention or we re-realize from the nature. I hope you liked it. So it gives some different thought process, and that was the objective, to start communicating more on something, not on the particular topic, but more on the general topics. Please let me know your feedback. Thank you very much.